beautifully as Pochek as he was shooting, and Morris couldn't find Joyeux. It was a big collision along the blue line, and there's some pushing and shoving, and Reddick and Morris are going to fight here. Morris with a big right hand over the top. Oh, and a huge one to the guts. Kevin Morris, by the agitated Bryce Reddick, used his size well, and a gut punch sent the little number 91 to the ice. Here it is here. Maybe to the side of the head, actually. It looked a little bit lower on first look.
All-star forward for the Devils. He looks in front. He finds Batch. Batch tries to go back across there for Bentivogli. I believe Batch already has 1 point tonight. He was looking for his second. And now Doty. And we got a fight down here. We got Doty and Mark Louis. They're going. Doty throwing rights, Louis throwing lefts. Two big boys here. Good job here by Doty trying to get the fans going. Both exchanging punches here. Louis has no helmet. Doty gets the takedown. And that brings the Panthers fans to their feet. Great job there by Doty trying to get the boys going here.
Now in the slot, and there's a first decent look at goal, and Bounds had to be alive to it. Fournier can't get it out again. There's another chance out in front. And now there's a fight in the corner. Mark Lewis, a stick up for Fournier, get a huge right from Lewis, and another. Both players caught up a little bit in the boards. Lewis taking exception to that run from behind. It's Josh Grattan. He's trying to get his arm free, and left from Lewis, and another one, and another one. Lewis fired up tonight, and now the Lions are going to jump in. Well, that's a marker laid down by Mark Lewis, who has really stepped up the enforcing role in this past few weeks. Vestal in there, battling, and Martinelli. Now we've got a scrap. Blood is gone. Blood is throwing the mitts. Della Rovere is with him. Della Rovere with a little bit of a punch at the end there, which is... And another one for Della Rovere, and blood is down. Della Rovere is clearly not happy, but there was two punches when blood was already on the ice. Della Rovere is still not happy, and he's gone right for blood again. And they're having to drag him away. We'll see what started it. I think blood may have started throwing before Della Rovere had any want of staying in it. But Della Rovere definitely threw through two sly ones at the end.
As the Devils leave their zone, Evan Ritt collides with Gleason Fournier, but Mark Lewis takes exception and shares his displeasure with the Flames forward. The pair receive matching fighting penalties, with Devils tacking on an extra couple of instigator minutes.
And that's not booze you're hearing, that's Drews. For Drew Schistel, and I hope he knows that.
I was confused myself.
There's a fight right here. Mosy's going to go early. Mosy with a couple of uppercuts. Silences the fight fairly early. Mosy answered the bell from his earlier hit, but made short work of things. And well, we pretty much have had everything in the first few minutes of this game, Ollie.
I thought that was going to be Drew Schistel, maybe going for that Gordie Howe hat-trick, but, you know, solid fight there. Just smacks this guy with an uppercut, gets a few good looks in there, and it's Nikiforuk who he went up against with. Let's see if we can have a look at that replay again. You know, Nikiforuk, credit to him, gets back up, wants to continue the fight going on. You know, that's what Nikiforuk needs to do. Someone on this play team, after going 2 goals down early on, needs to answer the bell. They need to outplay the Devils physically, use their knuckles if they have to. They got to get themselves back in the game, because they're in danger of letting this game run away from them if the Devils have their way.
And now
Pins away from Josh Batch. Jonathan Ferland played 7 games in the NHL. Also a Calder Cup winner. Chance of 3 Calder Cup winners in their lineup. Oh, and a scrap in behind now. Josh Batch and Jonathan Ferland. Josh Batch, the bigger boy here, tries to get the uppercut going, tied up from Jonathan Ferland. There's a swing around there, a little bit of a merry-go-round, but much of a muchness. good for Jonathan Ferland to stand up, and Josh Batch is still down. Might have took a knock on the wall, but certainly nothing intentional there. Almost gets the player, the fans on their feet, and a spirited bout between Batch and Jonathan Ferland.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what started it there. You know, Ferland's a physical player there, and he's always getting in the forecheck and making big hits. So it could have just been a fact that got a big hit on Batch or one of the Devils, and you know, Batch is a guy who on the national team will step in, stick up for his teammates, and you know, he's not afraid to mix it up. So you know, good job by both those guys to drop the gloves and
well, they're going to sit for 5 minutes each. No, doesn't look as if there's an instigator penalty. There's been an awful lot of them this year. And again, Batch and Ferland both sit for 5 minutes. There's a chance here.
It was a bit wide there. Yeah, they're shouting for too many men, but the guy's got to touch the puck first before they can make the call.
One's on getting a shift, he sends it up. McKenzie goes in search. Oh, here we go, over to the bench. That man Lewis again, Goatee trying to get a hold of him here.
Yeah, you know this, it was a good hit, and because his helmet got knocked off there, one of the Cardiff guys goes flying in.
Oh, Gauthier. And Mark Louis and Gauthier are going to head to the box here.
5 minutes for fight. Well, it was over before it began really there. We'll see what he's caught floppy ice, so we're currently 6 on 4. Bit of interference between Shane Baker and Cardiff Devils player there. Bit of scrapping going on. Uppercuts going either way. Both players wrestled out the ice. 35 seconds to go in the third.
Around the front of Ben Bound's net, he had to have his head on the swivel there for sure, and that one sent long. Morissette manages to absorb a long stretch pass, scoring chance for Mosy. Oh, he gets wiped out by Rissling. A huge hit, and the forward stays down as we'll, I think, see this again. I don't know whether it was a little high or whether he just got caught puck watching, but Evan Mosy certainly feels this one.
I mean, looking at it full speed, it looked like a clean hit to me. Obviously, it may have hit Mosy in a bad spot. And we're just watching it again now. It looked like the arms were down, didn't leave the ice.
Well, he's a big boy, Jana Rissling.
Yeah, see, I mean, you know, Mose isn't, you know, that big. He's under 6 feet. Riz is, you know, 6'3", 6'4". It's unfortunate, you know, you don't want that point of contact to be the head. I don't think that was intentional in any way by Rissling. You know, he had his eyes on the centre of Mosy's chest. Mose cut to the middle in a danger area. Riz was coming across full speed. If there was incidental contact, then obviously we're hoping Evan Mosy gets up okay. He's down on the ice. He has kind of half got up onto his knees, so it didn't look great when he first got hit, but, you know, Rissling's not really that kind of that player, and obviously Mose is so fast. He's going at full speed.
Well, that's the thing. I'll elaborate on what I was going to say. Rissling is that kind of player. He's a great open ice hitter, but not a dirty one. He's a clean one. That's what I'm trying to get at. I remember the hit on Ross Venus coming through centre ice back in 2018. And looking at the replay a couple of times as we did there, Dan Mosy, I think he knew where Rissling was. He wasn't caught looking back where the pass was coming from. It looked like it was just a huge collision. From our vantage point, we would never really tell if first point of contact was the head. I think maybe shoulder on shoulder. But for a guy who has a size advantage like Rissling, he'd want to start fairly low anyway and explode through Evan Mosy.
And yeah, I mean, I think obviously he's a good skater. He moves quick. Mose is obviously the fastest guy in the league probably. So when they're both travelling at that speed, one little shift of an inch here or there from Mose and it kind of throws it all off. So Mose is back on his feet. hopefully he's going to be okay, and we'll see him back in this game. As
yeah, he's certainly a little bit unsteady on his feet there, being helped by a couple of members of the Panthers to get to the off-ice area. Good sportsmanship there.
Yeah, I think obviously, you know, he was tremendous for this club and this team, and you know, he's always going to be well liked here. He's a legend here, and even in a different uniform, you know, no one likes to see someone get hit like that. So you have a bit of pushing and shoving behind the play.
Yeah,
and we're going to have Ulmer and Risling.
Yeah, Lane Ulmer went straight.
And I'll tell you right now, Riz is going to have his way with Ulmer.
Yeah, with a right hand from Risling, Ulmer went straight for the big body of Jane and Risling as they are in behind the goal line, throwing a couple of punches at each other. They're in tight now. Ulmer eats a couple from Risling.
He wants that linesman.
Oh, and Risling going
and
right
here
back.
We go, it's go time. It's go time.
And that hit kicking off this game live on Saturday Night Showdown. The old-fashioned line brawl here. Gloves are plenty on the ice. Joey Martin's tied up with, I think, gup tilt.
And I'll tell you what, fair play to Ulmer, veteran player. He steps in for someone like Mosy, but you know, Riz didn't do anything wrong there, and we're giving Riz the W up here. I am anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you know, you look at the hit in real time. There was no penalty called on the play. Whether anything supplemental will be added, and those are the kind of fights after a big hit doesn't get accosted by the referees that you expect, Dan.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the ref didn't call anything, and you know, in my opinion, quite rightly. And you know, I don't know what's going to happen to Ulmer there. He's obviously getting the instigator. The play hadn't even started.
No.
So Ulmer goes straight after Risling. You know, obviously 5 minutes each for fighting, but Ulmer's probably going to be the instigator. You know, you can't start an altercation when the play's not going on. And then everybody else piles in. Nothing really is going to happen from there. But I understand Cardiff are disappointed that they didn't get a power play out of it. No one wants to see Evan Mosy get hurt, but you know, if you know, as it looked, it looks like a clean hit. Unfortunately, Evan Mosy gets hurt on the play, and you know, fair play to Ulmer. He's an old school guy. It's good to see. I still like that brand of hockey, coming in, sticking up for his teammates, especially you know, a younger, skilled guy like that. You know, fair play to Ulmer, but you know, and Risling's going to defend himself. We see Strack there up on the bench.
And right there is one of the reasons why you will never remove fighting from the game of hockey. You can't call a penalty on the play. It looks like they didn't call a penalty on the play, so you go back to the players policing themselves.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? I would much rather see Ulmer do something like that than go back and, you know, do something that you don't want to see, you know, a cheap shot, or, you know, a sort of a way that Risling could get injured. Risling can look after himself, as he just proved. And like I said, fair play to Ulmer, fair play to Riz. Hopefully the Panthers are going to get a power play out of this, what they should do.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll wait and see.
And that's one of the arguments, again, what we might as well talk about fighting in hockey while we've got this breakdown. One of the arguments why you get some more cheap shots in non-fighting leagues, you know, various leagues around the world, is because players don't feel like they can pay a penalty, so to speak, for playing in a gritty, aggressive, physical way, and that leads to cheap shots and ultimately injuries.
Yeah, I think if you know you're not going to have to answer the bell to anybody, and you can go out and hit, and you know, not that Ulmer did it anyway, but you can go out and play that style, you know, hit, maybe be a bit of a rat, a couple of cheap shots, and you know you're not really going to have to answer the bell, and you know, guys get injured that way. So anyway, it looks like the Panthers can have a power play. I'm just trying to hear the actual penalties. I think he probably just got the 2, 10 and the 5, and Risling got the 5. Hopefully Riz isn't out of the game and it's just a 5, but he's on the bench currently.
Yeah, I can only imagine that any supplementary penalties would be after a review of the hit, although I don't know how they're going to do that without watching footage. And certainly the noise in the arena made it hard for us to hear what the official call was on the ice, Dan. Maybe we can get that clarified. Although it's curious to see that Mr. Mike Hicks is stood about 4 yards behind us, keeping a firm eye on this one.
I'm guessing from the fact Riz has his gear on and he's on the bench, he's probably done for the game. But I mean, he just, I mean, yeah, I'm surprised he doesn't just get a 5 for that.